Hey, welcome. It is Wednesday Warriors with PatriotsInsideTheWire.com. We're going to get rolling right now for you. We got a great show. Thanks.
Giving a voice to the voiceless. We share the stories behind our freedoms and the ultimate sacrifice of those who protect us all. This is Patriots Inside the Wire.
Patriot is someone who was willing to give his life for his country and served honorably in Iraq.
Signed our names with no regrets. Only wanted to be the best that we could be. And we wanted this and nothing more than to be true down to the core. We thought we'd live forever, but when the full moon is bright and the wind blows just right, I can hear your voice on the wind.
Here's one that I came back on the perfect day, but you know what? It's really more like
21 guns into the night till we meet again on the other side. 21 guns, this is goodbye till we meet again on the other side. Yeah, 21 guns.
Beautiful thing to see the family and friends come together and honor his life and his service to our country.
It's great to see you guys out here. This is awesome, really.
Welcome to the Patriots Inside the Wire broadcast, hosted by Gold Star Mom, Tracy Two-Step.
Welcome to the show. It is Patriots Inside the Wire. It is a Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. Please share. Get this on your pages out there. We have some things to go over and a wonderful guest with us tonight. We have our co-host, Mr. John Swat. He is joining us, and he is out there in the Houston greater area. Part of our conversation tonight will be about the hurricane. We do have some information for you. A lot of information came in today. But Swat's there, but it seems like the internet might be freezing. He's been in the studio. Can't wait to hear more. What I'd like to do is just to jump into this. Let's just get this going. I see your comments already. Thank you so much. Lovely. Please share. Let's welcome on Mr. Dennis Price is here with us. And Dennis is in the exact area that I have a lot of my friends and a lot of people that are, we're all on a message. We're all trying to figure out what's going on. And when the hurricane actually came in, I was live and I'm north, but we have a lot of information for everyone tonight. If you need information, you need to know somewhere to go. The NRG Stadium there in Houston, they are housing individuals. There are 13 different locations for food. We have a lot of this information that we'll be sure to leave with the show and all of these links. So if you need anything, please let us know. Let's get into the show because Dennis has been literally boots on the ground, and I don't mean just for the hurricane. I mean throughout his Marine service. Thank you for serving, Dennis.
Thank you.
And then, right, and then I say, because you say it, after taking lives, saving lives. So that is your tagline right there. Well, welcome to the show. I think SWAT is you're right. Your internet's good. Nice. I can see you. Nice to see you, buddy.
I mean, it's getting a little better, of course, being in the Houston area. It's still spotty, but we're doing the best we can. I know there's still a lot of people out there that don't have power, don't have water and electricity. So we're sending our prayers out to everybody out there. But we're going to come together as we always do. And Dennis, I know you know a lot about that, coming together and pulling for each other and coming to the rescue.
Yeah.
Amen. That's what I say. And also the information. So SWAT, you're doing great then, because there are 1.3 million just in a specific area that do not have power. And it's not like it's widespread everywhere. It's worse. Like there's a couple of areas that are really bad. So I'm going to get to a conversation with Dennis. One that I know about is going to be Conroe, obviously, Montgomery County. The businesses, the power, the cell phones, nothing's there. The gas, you cannot. They described it as a zombie apocalypse, and it is way too soon. It's been since the 1800s that there was a hurricane that came through that early in the season. So nobody was prepared for this. But usually when you're in that area, following the time, you kind of watch out. You might have things prepared a little more. This caught people off guard. So what we have is some information, but not just that. So we have our original show for you. Dennis actually is the individual, the Marine, the man behind Heroes for Humanity. So we will still get into that. But what we'd like to do is to give everybody information out there. Is Dennis is actually in that area, and he can give us literally the information. So Dennis Price, welcome to the show from Humans for Humanity. Yes. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on again. Nice to see you, John.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, you're in the greater Houston area. Where are you at?
Well, actually, Dennis, we're a little outside of the Houston area. We're in Belleville, which is right between Sealy and Brenham. I'm sure you're familiar with the area. So we're a little bit on the outskirts, but I grew up in Katy, of course. I have a lot of friends that are in, the Katy area, Houston, Conroe, all the surrounding areas there, and the Woodlands as well, all those places. So it's mayhem right now. I still have several friends that are without power. So
well, it's good to see that you have power, and like same here. We've been really blessed. Just like the street below me and almost all the way down to Houston doesn't have power. So I'm just so thankful that we do. And besides I have a down fence, we were able to be managed pretty well through the hurricane, like almost no damage. We have a generator too that naturally kicked on for, and we held, like I said, we're in the northern Conroe area. So we were able to manage, but just like Tracy was saying, there's millions, and I don't want to toss out a number from what I saw online that it was millions without power right now. From all my buddies and all my friends, work associates, and everything like that, or who are down in Houston, they're still without power right now. Tracy nailed it when she said that the gas stations really are, because everyone's running off a generator, so everyone's pumping out the gas, and that's one of the biggest ones that are happening right now. And so, Tracy, you kept nailing it when you said that it was out of season, so people weren't prepared enough, because we do prepare for that. When something like this since the 1800s comes and devastates your local area, you are prepared, but not as much as that you should have been, like here. So we did stock up as much you could last minute, because if you guys recall in the news, it was actually supposed to hit the border of Mexico and Texas, and out of nowhere because I was on call. I'm on a QRF for Heroes for Humanity, Quick Reaction Force, and all my buddies who were down on the border on the Texas side of Texas and Mexico, kind of by Corpus Christi and further south, like Brownsville, I think it's called. That was supposed to be where it originally was going to touch down, and somehow it immediately shifted directly over Houston, up to Conroe, over my area, and then kept going north. So, no one was ready for that. They hurry up and filled their gas tanks and stormed the grocery stores. But the long-term thing of of filling all the gas tanks like that. That just was not uh, far enough notice because we were supposed to be 9 hours from the storm.
Yeah, the so I sorry, I'm picking up my stuff because I literally have people, and it's been like that all day. Because of the information I get is literally people that are living this. And so, with the information we want to put out to you, thank you, Margie. I want to say thank you to her. She luckily does have power. I don't know how, because the area she's in right there in Conroe, just a step over, they do not. And then just the stories about the gas and the companies, and it's not just in her. Now she has power, thank goodness, but a lot of the individuals, we all know a lot of the same people. And so that part of it, the prepared, like the timing of it coming, and then the gas. So even trying to figure out, okay, it's so bad. Listen to me, like multiple places you try to go. And then she tried to go again, and the lines were like crazy. And it was like the guy even looked and just said, "There's no gas. I mean, you need to turn around." And so she had to do that. And then that morning, I know that, they're watching, everybody's watching, like who's going to have gas, and you got to jump up. And if it's, hopefully you get there and you can get it. But, so there's a lot of those things that have to be figured out, that a lot of people are like, well, until it happens, you don't really know what's going on. But the Texas Department of Emergency Management, TDEM, has everything you can possibly imagine on there, as far as like the 13 different feeding locations. And I know a lot of those are going to be, so Montgomery County, Conroe area is 45 minutes from this stadium. So, and that's why I put out some stuff for Montgomery County. So Montgomery County, they gave it to me in there. It's just, hub.arcgis.com, www.hub.arcgis.com, for those that are listening. Thank you for that. I have two people that are actually in Houston right now, and there he is. And so you're going to bear with us. Dennis, you have been out there literally. So before we get into the show in depth, tell me about that. Tell me about what's been going on. What have you seen out there? Are you frozen again? Let's see.
I should be good. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Yes, gas is crazy. Are you frozen? There you go. You're back.
Okay.
And Margie's got some information for us here. Thank you, Margie. Thank you for that. Got it. We can do this. So you're back, Dennis. I noticed you froze up there. But I know that you and you have some friends, right? Like you've been on the ground there in that area. Is that right?
Yeah, we've been lucky to be blessed with people who are volunteering for Heroes from Any, some of my friends and everything like that, who are on the ground real time as it went over the woodlands. Right when it went to it's safe, and the eye went over, and it like they could go outside while it was still raining. Man, God's good. He literally some of these people for Heroes from Any for us were grabbing chainsaws, and we started going down and collecting a whole bunch of volunteers, and we went out and started just mowing down trees that were blocking roads to people who were trapped in their houses. We were chainsawing trees from there. One of my close friends, Morgan, he really led the front in his local neighborhood and started doing the same thing. And then Friday and all of Saturday, I'll be going down and leading another coalition to south of Houston, which has got hit. Has been deemed as one of the worst spots in the area right now.
What area is that?
And that'll be in Ingleton.
Ingleton, okay.
Ingleton, yeah.
Ingleton,
yeah. So
okay.
kind of by Lake Jackson, almost all from Pearland on south. That and most of Houston is still not have power. Like I said, I don't know how many millions of people right now, but Friday, like starting like 5 a.m, I'll be leading that coalition with all of my Heroes for Many local volunteers in the greater Houston area. We're just going to go and just do days on end until we're done. You know, we're going to commit to this until probably a little over a month, and just continually keep sending guys on wherever people need help.
What will you, I mean, what do you actually get in there and do? Like, and how can other people get involved? Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah, so I'm very connected with Samaritan's Purse, the Red Cross, and local NGOs, nonprofits. And usually, how it happens on a hurricane, tornado, any kind of natural disaster, uh, these people will all choose. They'll wait until the calm of the storm, and they'll say what area needs help the most, and they'll target it, and then they'll find a local rally point. This one right now is in Angleton. So it is identified as of tonight, Angleton, and it starts tomorrow. Is where all the coalition will go. We'll send massive amounts of pallets of water to medical supplies, most likely like shovels, garden gloves, so you can pick up a lot of debris and people don't get tetanus and get poked, and we'll just be performing, like, one of the things the U.S. is we'll be performing just manual labor and helping people who, like, and a lot of chainsaws and a lot of down trees, but we'll be helping people who just got from their house collapsing to just removing massive amounts of debris of fallen trees, limbs, things smashed their stuff, falling down pieces of their house or sheds, and what I've seen so far on, like, tornadoes, almost everything's completely knocked down, and large hurricanes too, depending on where it's at. You have to pull every single thing out of that person's house and put it on they'll have, like, on the side of the road, and then they'll have massive dump trucks come by, and you have to, and it's horrible, it's sad, and I always try to encourage everyone to be involved in that, because when you see those people and everything they own in their whole life is just demolished, they don't have any tears left to cry, and it's just so sad. And, like, I cover down on a lot of hurricanes and, like, a handful of tornadoes, and I love doing it because, like, you just see these people, they're just so exhausted because they have no more feelings left to give, they have no more tears left to shed, and they just put their shoulder and help them out, and that's what, like, just like what I said on the other time I was on, I'm a massive believer, and that's what God calls us to do. Proverbs specifically, it talks, and it says, Proverbs 21:13 says, "Whoever closes his ear to the cry of the poor will himself call out and not be answered." So, and
like
that mixed with the Lord's prayer of that we have to be good to our neighbor, and that's what we're trying to do, is be good neighbors, be good servants of the Lord, and to reach out to whoever cries out for the poor, and we'll be answered.
I agree. And so thank you for being there on the ground. It's just ironic timing too, because I had just met you about some things, and so we want to get into also some of that information. But I can see right behind you, you got plenty of stuff there to get ready to go out and take care of the debris with you right now, wherever you're at. So, and I know that you're somewhat near the Montgomery County area, which is a lot of people are noticing, like you were talking about, there's that one specific area that seems to be very damaged, but you still have this town, Montgomery County, Conroe area. I actually love it. I know a lot of the people there, and they are all calling out too, because it's like there's literally the businesses, you name it, no power, no cell phones, no, like the food in the grocery stores, the gas. When you think about it, everything that we need, and if you haven't stocked it up or figured it out, what are you going to do? I mean, so yes, we are. I'm on group things, you name it, because Montgomery County is like a piece of my heart. I love them there. You got Honor Cafe, who does so much for us, Chris, in his business, and then you've got the Red Brick there and the restaurant there with Miss Heather, and you've got Margie down there. You've got Genisha right there at the Montgomery County. So I do want to make sure that they know that I have gotten all the messages, and between all the information that we can get out, we will. I've even been in touch with the Texas Department of Emergency Management today. I've also been in touch with the commissioner, so I've had all sorts of things. So anyone, if you do need help, you need resources, it is there. If you cannot figure it out by going to the different links that we have for you or that we're mentioning, get a hold of us, send us a message, and we'll send you out a message. You can go to our website. Our email is there. It's just patriotsinsidethewire.com, and you can send us a message. Tonight on Wednesday Warriors for Patriots Inside the Wire, Kyle could not join us. So Kyle Sims will be with us here soon. Kyle is, I'm going to save his story. He has quite a story. We call him the Texas Ranger here in Texas. So Kyle is someone who is passionate about a subject that I knew when I met Dennis was that Dennis, you've been here what, 2 years, I think, in Texas? Yeah. So I knew that
Yes,
there was
yeah.
one
Good memory.
person. Yeah, I knew there's one person that I have got to get you connected to, and that is him. So we will do that. That will be coming, everyone. I hope you get to feeling better, Kyle. But we're going to go forward with Dennis. So Dennis, Marines, right? We're going to
Yes.
start off right there. How old were you when you went into the Marines? Did you just go straight ahead? Young?
Yeah. I was 18. I I joined in the delayed entry program when I was 17 ish, in 11th grade summer vacation, and I joined in the delayed entry program and then just joined straight in from there. Signed up, said, "Hey, if I could be a machine gunner or a tanker, I'll sign right now." And then graduated school, already had my delayed entry program card, and right when I graduated, like 2 weeks later, was in boot camp in the Marine Corps, already contract done, and 6 months later, I was in Iraq as a machine gunner or turret gunner.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, was that like 2008 or 9? Was it around that time frame?
I joined in '07. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you ended up in
Yeah, I
Iraq in
joined
like
in '07. Yeah.
'08. So yeah, you were there in Iraq around the same time frame
Yeah.
as my son, which goes by two step. He's with us.
Mhm.
He's right there watching over with me. My faith is up there too, just like you mentioned. So my son pounded that same, I'm going to say sand, because I literally I have the pictures, I have everything. It's like, and he told me everything, and he was like, it is so hot, mom, you don't get it. Like, it is between what you wear and what he, being in infantry, you don't get to sit around much. Not that anyone does in the military, but I'm just trying to say that there's different things that you're doing in different jobs, right? So everything you're wearing, you got all your gear, and he's like, imagine like a blow dryer that's more powerful than anything you could possibly imagine, in heat of fire, nonstop, just coming at you. And then you got the sandstorm. He's like, yeah, it's pretty miserable when that happens. And I was like, definitely. Um, Hey, Jason, somehow you just popped right up all on the screen. That was interesting. Hey, Jason Steiner there from Hero Stock. Don't know what just happened there, but as soon as you popped in, Mr. Jason Steiner, it put you right up on the screen. So I know Dennis, he'll be right back. SWAT. So SWAT, let me grab you here. Here we go. So you're in Houston and you've got power and you're doing well and your family and everybody's good for you?
We're doing okay, Tracy. We're trying to make it through, of course. We had a full day there on Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday without power, but somehow we made it through. It's one of those things where when you look back on it, like you said, it's the little things. You don't realize how much we rely on,
Right.
the little things like power and your cell phone and
Right.
the news and TV and all those things. So we're very, very fortunate we got it back as soon as we did. We know there's a lot of our friends and family out there that are still dealing with it. So our hearts and prayers go out to you guys. we were worried about you guys up in Austin as well. We know it was heading y'all's way, but thankfully, it may not have hit y'all as bad as it did the Houston area, but it affected everybody, and it affects everybody we know. So kind of like Dennis was saying, all over the state, but especially down in South Texas, it kind of affected everybody. But that's why we have good people like Dennis who are kind of, like he said, he's on the QRF team. He's ready to go anywhere, anytime. And Dennis, I'm sure the Marines prepared you for that. Now, I think you
I
might
hope
have
so.
mentioned this last time, but you were deployed in Iraq. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. I actually was attached to some of the Marine Expeditionary Force guys up in Ramadi. So some of the guys that Dennis probably knows, Marines, they kept us safe up there. But he's out there doing his thing even after he got out of the Corps, and you still felt the need to serve. And I love that about it, man. I love it.
That part is true. So Dennis, getting into more, we're saying hi. Steiner says hello there, Swat. We'll have him on here soon, so pay attention to the shows that are coming up. There's a lot going on in the veterans, Gold Star, music world. We've even added another show, so we got Mondays and Wednesdays. Dennis, going from the Marines, you have quite a story. So I really, instead of me saying anything, I think that maybe we should just go ahead into what happened, that you saw something, and I know this, so I want you to tell it, but what is it that got you? There is something that happened and it led you to what you're involved with now with your foundation and organization. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Do you want me to cover the whole thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Just don't use certain words.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. So I'll tell it like if no one watched the last episode and start from the beginning,
We have
So,
different
like-
channels on, so you're all good. Like it's on other channels, and so you're
Gotcha.
all good.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, served 17 years in the Marine Corps in special operations and all through different special operations realms. As I said, that when I joined about 17, 18 years ago, um, coming straight out of high school, I felt the call to serve as a patriot. I watched 9/11 happen on TV. I wanted to do something about it. So when I saw everyone going in on TV on Fallujah, I was in like 10th or 11th grade, and 11th grade summer vacation. I walked in the Marine Corps recruiter's office and was like, "Hey," I said, "I want to be a machine gunner or a tanker, and if I can get that, I'll sign today." And I was probably the easiest case to get recruited because the guy's like, "Okay, boom, sign right here." And like I said, I had my delayed entry program card all through 12th grade, and right when I graduated, 2 weeks later was in boot camp. 6 months after that, was in Iraq as a machine gunner and a tank, or and a turret gunner as well. And um, after multiple times of getting blown up, or our platoon getting hit with IEDs and everything. A specific event I think it was the third time we got blown up. One of the vehicles hits an IED, and it launches off what became the start of a long, lonely, tormented road, and took me down a path that I just hurt everyone else around me, and ignited a fire in me that I couldn't control. And so we hit an IED, and initiated. It kicks off an IED initiated ambush. So we get trapped, just like you said, that it was in Ramadi. We were coming back from Fallujah from Ramadi to Fallujah, back to Ramadi, and we've done that thousands of times before. And so we start taking fire from the city, and all of a sudden we're trapped on what is known as the X, and that started a fire that ignited in me that burnt out of control in a rage that I spent almost all my adult life trying to put out. I I immediately after that deployment, I started doing back-to-back deployments. Ultimately, I think it was 7 or 8 in the Marine Corps, um, and then I went to the private side and with private military contracting companies that used to be called Blackwater, and I got hired as a sniper on from there and did more tours, did a few other private contracting stuff as an independent, and did 13 total in Marine Corps and on the private side of deploying. Um, and all it did was for about 17 years of that is it turned me into a person that I could only have two modes. I was either pissed off or really pissed off. I um I felt like the uh, numb inside. I was living off adrenaline. I was doing back-to-back deployments, and in between deployments, I went to different special operations schools, to selections, to anything I could, and all just to realize, like what in the Bible says, um, I was trying to fill a void inside my soul. I was trying to fill a void deep down inside me that what we learn in Scripture, it's called from the Samaritan woman, is that eternal water is the only thing that can quench that thirst. So that's what Jesus tells that with the Samaritan woman. Um, so I try to fill that void in me. I had a God shaped hole in my heart and in my soul, and I try to fill it with everything else. I try to fill it with alcohol, women, adrenaline, different anything I could. And I fell down every wrong path that could ever be until I actually eventually stumbled upon the right one. And just like I said in the Samaritan's woman, that's when I found myself to Christ, and was saved, and that almost happened, to be one of the statistics, the 22 veterans a day. I found myself, like I said, gun in hand, my children sleeping in the next room, and all out of options, and convinced so much of a white noise in my head that was the only way out. That was the only way that my family could survive and thrive after my daughter was born with two rare diseases, and I got handed a $1.2 million medical bill, and was like, that's it. This is the only way out. And you know, as I always say, is like when you have that white noise, when you have that devil in your ear shouting so loud, it's like a jammer. Common sense and level-headed thinking. If you were to tell me now, I'd be like, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds crazy. You have so much to live for. But when someone has that in their ear, and like I said, like white noise jamming any signal to come into you, any common sense, anything, that's the best way I can try to describe it. And you know, and on that hour, right when I was about to go and do it, that's when a random statistic popped in my head, and it said that if a parent then commits, we'll say the S word, for PC and public safety, so we don't get canceled. If a parent then commits that, your children are then 5 to 10 times more likely to then commit
To take their lives.
to take their lives.
Yeah.
So, and then as I have it to my head, I'm mind blown. I'm like, I can't believe that this just ran through my head. And then another one followed directly up. It said a young girl raised without a father is another 5 to 8 times more likely to have preteen pregnancy. And I was like, man, I have 3 daughters and I have a son. So the next one popped in my head. It says a son raised without a father in the household is again 5 to 10 times more likely to be incarcerated at a young age. And that's when I put it down and was like, man, I can't hack it. I can't fake it. I can't hack it just one more day. Just hang in there. Where my youngest daughter is in the hospital, born with two rare diseases, fighting for her life. And her war hero, her daddy, who's sitting there, who's supposed to be the hero of her world, can't even hack it one more day, and she's fighting for her life to live. And I was like, man, I'm so messed up right now. I went in, sat down, turned on Cornerstone Television, which is a church channel, and was like, I'm so messed up right now. I need help. So I get out of the service, right out active duty, a little under 15 years, switched in the reserve to help take down that $1.2 million debt through TRICARE and then just trying to do anything I could to help pay that bill off. And I was like, I'll work every day and night. I'll work 4 jobs so that my kids have a dad in their life to help support them. I'll work every day and night if it means that I'll give my children a better future to hang on to for. And I started working for, like I said, a company that used to be called Blackwater, and that's when I found ultimately, even though I grew up a Christian and I was with God and I was in the church on and off, what most people in America say, oh, I'm a Christian. I was a seasonal Christian. I went to church almost every Sunday in my life. I was a believer, but like, you guys heard me say before, is what we get convinced in the military is that there's no place for God in war. And scripture tells us that is a complete opposite truth, from Gideon to David to Moses to Abraham to numerous figures in the Bible who do tremendous things with the Lord on their side. You find out that is inaccurate at all. And I actually try to openly voice to rid that stigma and cliche saying. Chad Robshow, the guy who saved my life in Afghanistan when we did the rescues, wrote a book called The Unfair Advantage. And the unfair advantage is having Christ on your side as a soldier. And he did 8 deployments as a AFO private contractor with DevGru, and that's what he found to his conclusion, was that having Christ on your side is the unfair advantage against the enemy. So as I'm walking down the halls of Blackwater, that's when, like I said, I brought my children to church. I'm getting back into church. I'm just trying to be faithful to the Lord and do whatever he has for me. I don't know what it is. It's vague. I'm just trying to do the right thing and provide for my family and try to hang in there. And as I'm walking down the halls, that's when it felt like I got struck by lightning. Every fiber of my being was tingling. Every hair on my body was standing up. And that's when I first and only heard the audible voice of God. And he said, "You have to save them." And I was like, what's going on? Like, what is this? I had no context, no nothing. And I walked down the hall and make a left, and inside the room was the TV on, and it was Kabul, Afghanistan, about to fall. And I was like, what can I do? Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? What can I do? And the next voice said, anything. I was like, Roger, I got the mission. I got authority from the mission commander, and I got given a task, and it's, what can you do? Anything. Well, I knew 10 guys, and those 10 guys knew 10 guys, and quickly, truly by the grace of God, in 24 hours, I had my first American who was a family of 6, dual citizen in Alaska, and I had a Ranger Regiment Lieutenant Colonel retired who owned a 50-acre compound in Alaska, and we teamed up and started a company for LLC so that if it's combat, it's war, that if anything happened, I wouldn't get sued. So in 24 hours, I had a mission. I got given a task. We hurry up and spit up a LLC. We have a training compound. 24 hours after that, I had a 6-man joint special operations team filled with Navy SEALs or veterans of Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Force Recon, and a few other key players. So 24 hours after that, I have a plane and permission to land in Afghanistan. That mission, that family of that dual citizen in Alaska, he was given 6 days. That on the 6th day, his oldest 2 daughters, 14 and I think 12 years old, were supposed to be raped and sold off to the Taliban and forcefully married. And that was his timeline. On the 5th day, we got him and his family out from Kandahar up to Kabul and out of Abbey Gate 45 minutes before the Abbey Gate blew up. And that is when I was like, man, this is amazing. God is truly with us. So all assets shifted to us, and then boom, boom, boom. We were able to rescue 55 Americans who were trapped behind enemy lines and vetted SIV, Special Immigration Visa interpreters. And once they were cleared and vetted, then we rescued them. And within 2 weeks, we were at 55 saved. And then I was nominated and brought up to speak at Washington D.C. to form what is now called Save Our Allies, and I became the sixth pillar of Save Our Allies. That we'd be a sanctioning force um, with the with the government, and that we would go in and they're like, "What did you do? What are you doing now? And what can you do in the future for us?" And as we stood up and we gave each of individual of our pitches, I specifically went in. That's why one of our three pillars for Heroes for Humanity is precision personnel rescues. Is I went in and was like, just like how I've been doing for 15, 17 years in special operations. Whenever we targeted a terrorist, we're like, hey, where's this guy located? He's located here. Let's eliminate him here. That's what I did to find people of vetted, Americans trapped behind enemy lines to vetted Afghan interpreters, and I would go and locate this guy and his family, and I would bring him and his family out. And that's what I do now against children trafficking. I'm able to go and locate them. So as I'm sitting there in DC, I say what I can can do in the future, and how I've been going and getting HVIs, high valued individuals, and precision personnel rescues. That's when Chad Robichaux came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I love what you did." He's like, "Tell me more about your background." I told him I was like, "Hey, I was a Force Recon Scout Sniper guy, and spent some time at JSOC and spent some time throughout various special operations units, and this is what I'm doing now." And he's like, "That's crazy." He's like, "What would you do if I told you I served in the same units and have the same background as you? And how would you like to, in about 2 weeks, to go in an unsupported behind enemy lines mission and go save the rest of them?" And I said, "Well, I don't know who you are, but if God called me to do this, and my mission is not done, then yes, I'll go." And 2 weeks later, I was on a plane with this guy, Chad Robichaux, and I googled him real quick. Was like, "Who is this guy?" As I'm about to fly out with him. And I found out he was legit and he had the same background. And we covered 90 miles of border recon all throughout the Panjshir River Valley in Afghanistan and the border of Tajikistan, dodging Tajik guards, Russian, what used to be called KGB, now FSB, throughout the mountains. There's Taliban infested camps. And there was after the Russians went from Uzbekistan all the way up to Tajikistan to a certain point, then by the Chinese border, then it was Chinese guards, and then went over from there. So we were snooping and pooping and going in the mountainside and trying to just find different viable routes to cross the Panjshir River Valley to make viable routes for the remainder of trapped Americans and vetted Afghan interpreters out of there. And it changed my life, down in that river valley, in the Panjshir River Valley, just like they say when someone gets baptized, death with sin, a rising Christ. I jumped in that river valley in the Panjshir River, and I came out on fire for Christ. That is the moment when people say, "When did you get saved?" And I said, "When I heard a voice and I followed." Just like Isaiah 6:8 says, and then I heard a voice come unto thee. Who will go for us? Who shall we send? And I said, "Here I am, send me." I felt a call. I did everything I can. I went, and led by faith and not by sight, through sneaking through Taliban infested camps, to Russian infested guards, to almost getting captured by the Chinese, to all this other stuff to save people I've never met in my life. Oh, I have 4 children, almost orphaning 4 kids and widowing my wife and everything like that. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, and no one else was coming. We left our own behind, and that's what God told me to do, and that's the right thing to do. And when I and just like Tracy, you said at the beginning, is that's when I coined the phrase, when I realized that 17 years of bitter torment in my soul of a void I could not fill, that I chose alcohol, women, adrenaline, any little thing I could to fill this void. And that is when I found Christ in my heart, is when I did that. And now, like I said, I've been on fire for him ever since. And that's when I realized that God didn't put me through 13 deployments, back-to-back deployments, to be his war machine. When I realized that I went through jump school, dive school, free fall school, sniper, special forces sniper, all these crazy special operations schools and capabilities, it wasn't going for taking lives. It went from that 1 degree off, from taking lives to saving lives. That is why that God put me through all of this, that I would be qualified to be the guy to swim across Afghanistan and save those hard to reach hearts and the hard to reach souls in those hard to reach places. And that's why after that I formed my nonprofit of Heroes for Humanity, and that's what we do. We take veterans from special operations and we go out and do the right thing for the right reason. Use our unparalleled skills to go and make the world a better place. And specifically, like I said, for doing the three pillars that we reside on. That's personnel precision rescues. Just like in Afghanistan, after that, I followed up suit. And when Ukraine happened in the invasion, I did the first, from the invasion on, I did the first 9 months, I did 4 tours out through there. And we were able to help save so many people. And so that personnel precision rescues is real. And that's one of our main pillars. The second pillar is humanitarian and medical aid. And as you said, Tracy, what's going on right now? We're all on. I'm on a QRF status right now, quick reaction force, to go help save others, because that's what the Lord calls us to do and be, is to be a good servant, be a good leader of your community, and use the gifts and talents of the Lord to help others. And ultimately, that third one, as you guys can already pick up, it's evangelizing, because the Lord says in the Bible that if you deny me before man, I will deny you before my Father. And I try to hold that secret sauce in for so long. I try to say, like, well, if I said I'm an openly Christian organization instead of faith-based, it'll stop me from going to 26 countries. Well, if I had cancer and doctors cured me from cancer and said you can't tell anyone the secret cure for cancer, then I would be on the top of rooftops shouting out what the cure for cancer is, because it helped me. And that cure, man, is my personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And I've not, after 17 years of torment, of going around the world, I've successfully sailed around the whole entire world, overlapping each other, 13 deployments, from Iraq, Afghanistan evacs, Ukraine, Colombia, to numerous places, multiple tours. I've seen there. I've seen it. I've been there, done that, and I hit 36 countries. And I'm telling you, the only cure for that cancer, that only void in my soul and my heart, is that personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And I love shouting at the top of the roof, because it has not just helped me, but it's helped so many different people. When I go out on churches, on base, on the military, and I go and preach my story, what happened, I get so many soldiers who come up to me afterwards or saw a YouTube video. It's like, hey man, your testimony, it almost made it really got to me. It choked me up. And I was dealing with all those same problems. And I'm like, hey, if God put me through all of this stuff so that it can help save you and help point you in direction for Christ, then seeds are planted, man. And let them fall and let them water wherever they may. But that's our job, is to be that voice of God and go and evangelize. Just like Jesus says, go be fishers of men. Go tell them what you saw today and be fishers of men.
I agree. So having your training and that purpose that changed over into the positive effect on your family, on humanity, and what that feels like to you, I can hear it and I can literally feel it. So here you are, trained, highly trained, actually. Adrenaline's going. I do understand what you're talking about, when there's all these different schools you can jump through in the military, and you can advance into here as if you're a sniper or jumping. I mean, I do know what that's like, because I say have, everyone out there, I have my son who and his buddy, anything you can imagine, is like, they were quick. I'm doing this. And I'm like, seriously, can we just like hold back a little bit? And it was like, no. So I was like, it was like all or nothing. And so I definitely know what that's like, for sure. But what I do notice is that passion in you. And so say it again, because when you were talking and I was following you, Chad's last name, I couldn't get a clear read on his name.
Yeah, Chad Robichaud. So,
Okay.
yeah, and some people could pronounce it Robichaud, but okay. It's a Cajun name. So, but yeah, and that's in the book. That whole story that I just said is in the book called Saving Aziz, and his new book that I told you that it was about Ukraine. I'm in it again, 10 chapters by name, and talking about the same stuff I was just talking about in Ukraine. That book comes out August 13th, called A Mission Without Borders. And so Saving Aziz, it's already out. It was last year's like Amazon bestseller or something like that. They're making a movie about it, hopefully filmed this year. Potentially Chris Pratt. He has a script right now. We're hoping he does it. But either way, It's going to be awesome because it's gonna show and hold accountable of what we did to our own, of we left our own behind, what that tragedy was, what it looked like, and show the rawness of what happened. And then the greatest thing, because when you pronounce a problem, don't come at everyone with a problem unless you have a solution. And then the next awesome thing was that people, good-hearted people around the world stood up and said, "Here I am, send me." And that was Save Our Allies, from the none of us who did it to the many Americans who provided ITG, initial terminal guidance, through online, walking people through to Abbey Gate, to Kabul, Afghanistan, to get out through HKIA, and leading people, doing whatever they could in whatever aspect they could, even if it meant doing it through online and on their phones working. Like there's thousands of people who stood up and said that they will not stand by and let this happen. And that just, man, that's why I made Heroes for Humanity, is because when I made it, I was trying to think of a name of, like, hey, what do I call this nonprofit that can do any mission around the world, do the right thing for the right reason. And it's not Heroes for America. It's not Christians for America. It's not any of that stuff. It is Heroes for America. In 20 years of global war on terror, America needed a warrior. Now the world needs a hero. And it needs people like all of us in any country to stand up, do the right thing for the right reason. If it doesn't have funding, that's why we together in a nonprofit can bound together. And just like how we have to pay taxes for the government to come and provide a safety net, we saw that safety net failed when we left our own behind. So we, as Heroes from any and nonprofit world, is that whenever I went over to pull out the ones who we left behind, whenever I went in the first initial invasion from Ukraine into the first 9 months, when there were no Americans helping and no any aid allowed in Ukraine, then why am I seeing Americans standing in Ukraine? Because America's not helping, but Americans are not standing with Ukraine, but standing in Ukraine and doing the right thing for the right reason, because that's what the Lord calls us to do. And as you guys heard me say before, we go to heaven. I don't go to Ukrainian heaven. We don't go to Mexican heaven. We don't go to American heaven. We go to heaven, and we're able to then, and we're doing God's work, not America's work or anything like that. We're doing the right thing for the right reason, because that's what He calls us to do.
Thank you. Thank you. You have, you're really good at speaking like really, really fast. So that was, that's a plus. You've got that down. You were built. I believe that you are correct. You were built literally to be the person that is out there to serve the way you are at SWAT. We know SWAT, you were there in the Army as far as deployments and what that can do. So Dennis, like the PTSD and all of this, you mentioned the other extreme. My question is, and it's actually not just mine, but as far as PTSD, do you, as strong as you are in finding your belief, do you still have issues? Do you have the PTSD, or do you just have moments where it's like, what, today's just not a good day? It is okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And so to answer the question in general, yes. You don't, like, when I was getting out and I was applying to all these different agencies and everything, and people were saying, and in the civilian world with doctors, because normally, like, we're surrounded with our own kind. So you're just like, it's actually toxic masculinity. I hate saying those terms, but we say, suck it up. Oh, we went through worse, blah, blah, blah. We had it. At least you're not this guy and whatever. But then you get out, and that's why so many people slide through the cracks and become that statistic of 22 a day, is because we don't do it justice. We don't address it early on. We don't prevent it early on. And then, what do they say? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Is we do not, as good stewards of brothers in arms, we do not early identify and do ourselves justice as leaders. So when I got in the civilian world and I talked to doctors, and I was like, I don't think and they're like, dude, you would be actually crazy if you didn't. And I just told them what my thoughts were, what my dreams were every night, how I react and everything like that. And yeah, I struggle every day, just like how most guys do. but I'm able to. It's funny. We look at like PTSD as a thing from like Vietnam and on up. In World War II, is called shell shock. And actually, in the Bible, King David, actually talks about PTSD, and he talks about having night terrors, sweats, and he can't shake what just happened in battle. And so, what did he do? He went to the Lord and he said, "Please free this from me, from these evil thoughts." And he gives it all to him. And he talks about, he talks about this exact experience. And I used to work for Mighty Oaks Foundation for 2 years. I stood up the international program um, over there, and they do. It's a nonprofit organization that helps veterans with PTSD and suicide through speaking spiritual resiliency and speaking the gospel and building spiritual resiliency with them. And so I'm pretty read into what the Bible talks about on those inner demons inside of us, and what that spiritual warfare is looking like. And like I said, like when that voice, when that white noise turns up so loud that it becomes it shuts you off from all logical thinking. There's nothing that could get inside, and those are bad days. And that is why I urge everyone that, like, man, if you're not a believer, that that's fine and everything like that. And I hope that changes someday, just for your own sake and your children's sake and your relationship and everything like that. But is you need to surround yourself with good, healthy, strong individuals, just like how I surround myself with, like, with good, strong individuals who are strong in Christ, Christian warriors, and men, family men who have similar backgrounds as me. And I surround myself with people like that. So when I fall short of the glory of God, and I fall short of that, I can point to them, and they said, "Hey, man, you're really deviating. You're really doing you're falling from grace right now, and here's what you need to do." And I surround myself every day with those people. And to kind of go off what you're saying is, some days you wake up. Well, that's why I wake up and, like, I have it tattooed on me. I have it around my wristbands. I have scripture around, because I wake up and I say certain verses, like, that point. Why am I here right now? And it is, God took a broken man and look what he did with the pieces. You know, I thought I went from taking lives and saving lives. I thought that's what he had me doing. So every day when I wake up, I look at James 1 Pac 27 and say that the religion that our Father calls us pure and faultless is to look after the widows and the orphans in their time of distress, and not to succumb to the evils of this world. So these are the scriptures that like we should, whatever find that you find that really that inspire you, and dedicate your skills, your gifts and talents to the Lord, and a mission to drive towards. That's what you should be doing every day, and waking up with that, because we live in a fallen world. We fall from grace hardcore, and guys like us, we have one way to go about it, and that is to fall back who we were. And that Dennis Price before was a broken man filled with bitterness and rage, and those are the tools of the enemy. But the gifts of the Lord are love, hope, and and uh, and ultimately is peacefulness inside. So
Well,
that's what
Dennis,
that's what I personally use.
that and Jesus juice. I mean, I you just gave me like a whole dose of just great vibes, great, just everything about it is exactly why I can sit right here and look at you and be on this show right now and talk to you about these things that I know that some people would look at me and they would be like, how can you, literally, they say, how can you actually like sit there? What drives you to want to be back around the veteran community? And I'm like, because that's my attachment back into my son. And that's what he chose to do. There's a reason he went in. There are still people that are in, they're serving. Our country needs this. This is why we have our freedom. This is why we have our rights also. So just like you going in at the young age that you could, we do focus a lot on that. And so these sibling scholarships, when you have a soldier like Sergeant Two Step, I'll use him, or I'll use Joey Lenz or Caleb. There's so many. I don't want to call names, so I don't want to forget anyone. So I'm thinking of all of you out there. But as what's called Gold Star families, they are active duty families of what I call kids when you go in at that age. who aren't even allowed to drink. Like they're not even old enough to drink. Okay. So when Adam was in Iraq, he was not old enough to even drink. So I just remember thinking that, and I was like, wow. But your organization, so going from the Marines, and then you were talking about your childhood too. So you were around that Christianity. It just the absorption and what you needed is what I call kind of a come to Jesus, a wake up. And I'm not trying to be like puns here. I'm being very honest when I say, like, when I said Jesus juice, or I said, that come to Jesus, it's that moment. There is that volt. You called it a lightning type thing. I say volt. It's like a volt that comes on you. And I know what you're talking about because I've had it happen a couple of times. One of those would be losing my son and grieve and cry, or I could get up and I could fight, and I could go change what was happening out there. Part of what I need changed is what I want to talk a little bit about. So heroesforhumanity.org, right? Hero for Humanity. Is that your website, Dennis?
It's heroes, HEROES, the number 4 humanity.us.
Okay. All right. Can you say that again for us, please?
Yeah, heroes, for the number 4 humanity.us.
Thank you.
And right now it's being under reconstruction, where we're switching over to a .org, and we're changing it. But even if no matter what, if they type that in, it'll redirect to the new one that's coming out. But it'll talk all about the 3 pillars that we try to specifically focus on and that we're built on as the foundation. Before we did 10 different things that we were able to use our gifts and talents to the Lord, but now it's really we trimmed down to 3 specific things. And like I said, it was personnel precision rescues, humanitarian medical aid, and evangelism.
Thank you. So again, it is heroes with a E, everybody, HEROES for the number 4 humanity.us. It will be changing over to .org. But again, it is heroes, HEROES for the number 4 humanity, HUMANITY.US. So I want to make sure that we get that out there because we're live tonight and we will be out there, but we'll also be on multiple podcasts so that when everyone is listening to this, I want to make sure they hear and get that the website. When you're on an audio, I want to make sure that we give them a second and slow down. And so, yeah. So when you see me spelling and kind of slowing down, I'm doing it for the actual podcast that will come so that I make sure that they can get a hold of you. So how does someone get involved? So let's say, for instance, SWAT said, hey, Dennis, I'm all about what you're doing. How do I get involved? What is it that I could do with Heroes for Humanity?
Yeah, I would say go to the website right now, and you can click on there. I believe that should still be good, and it goes contact us, and it'll go directly to the email address. They can say who they are, what they want to do to help. I always try to point people to the Instagram one because we're very active on the Instagram one. We're trying to I hate to say it because I'm in that weird old time range, but yet still deemed as the early phase of millennial. But if we want to evangelize the word, if we want to get up and tell people to do the right thing, what used to be on a presidential debate or anything like that, you'd get up on a stump and you'd preach the word, you'd evangelize the gospel, or you'd have a presidential debate, you'd maybe be a mayor of a town and you talk to the people. Well, today's modern day stump is social media. And it's Instagram, Facebook, podcasts, and that's why, most of my community, and I'll get hated on probably in the very near future, by haters. They're like, "Why are you going public? Why are you going?" Because hey, man, that's what I hear what you guys are saying, but I hear what the Lord is saying, and it's to go out and be fishers of men and go out and evangelize. And if today's modern day stump is podcast, social media, and Instagram, I tried for about 3 years not to be in the light. I tried to make it like I was not the face. I didn't want to do it. And all I was doing for a nonprofit that was going out and using the skills and the talents of the Lord to help people, I was only hurting the organization, and we were not able to get as many volunteers. We weren't able to get any kind of funding. We weren't able to help any people. And I realized is something that I had to get over, and that's what the Lord tells us: go be fishers of men. And if that stump today is podcasts and social media, then I highly suggest everyone go on Instagram, follow at our handle at heroes.for the number 4 .humanity, and you'll find heroes.for.humanity. Follow us there. We are very responsive on our messaging. That we post a lot of stuff. If people want to get involved immediately, I say go email us at, again, heroes the number 4 humanity.pa, as in Pennsylvania, at gmail.com. We're switching over eventually to that at heroesforhumanity.org. But as of right now, it's heroes for humanity.pa at gmail.com. And that is that's the email that we specifically monitor for as of, for right now, until we get the other domain up and running. And if anyone wants to help out with the Houston floods, if they want to sponsor us and help support us, financially, or sweat hours, or volunteer, or help like preach the gospel, or anything at all, just reach out. That's all it takes. Is if I can get you right here in the moment while you're feeling all motivated and filled with the gospel, then that's when, like, just like fishing, that's when I want you to bite. Go out right now and go click on and follow us. Go out and email us right now and be like, and stop letting the enemy, our common enemy, the devil, get into your head and say, well, you're going to be tired tomorrow. You work, maybe some other time, maybe not right now. Comfort kills, and comfort is why we are suffering as a society. We have to break out of that comfort zone, go out and help other people, and be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what we say in the special operations world. And that's what we're dealing with now, is go out, do the right thing for the right reason, encourage others to go and do the same thing, and lock arms as a humanity and help each other.
Yeah, you
Amen.
say it perfectly. I can't really. I'm trying to think here, and I'm just like, amen. That's what I was thinking, Swat. It was like, with everything that you're doing. So I do have a question here. You mentioned two things there. Everything you're talking about is needed. Had Kyle been on tonight, you would have heard a story about here in Texas and what is going on with the border and saving lives. So there are lives that are being taken, literally, children, women, even men, but mostly kids and women, and trafficking. And so there are multiple locations that someone like Kyle, and we'll get into his show on another date, and I'll let you know when that is, because I do want Dennis and Kyle to meet each other. So there's a special team, is what I'll say, and we call them Texas Rangers. Kind of, you got Heroes for Humanity. So here in Texas, we do have, I know you've been here 2 years, but that's why I want you to meet certain people, because there are certain things. Well, I'll give you an example. Right before I started to do full-on podcasting, because I've done radio, I've done hosting shows, I've done I've done several things, right? So you mentioned, the way things are rolling. I saw it too. And I was like, okay, I'm going to roll and go this way. And so that's where we are today, patriotsinsidethewire.com. But then we all work together. You used the word we. So I want to make sure, is that your friends that you worked with and that have gone on these missions? When you say we about Heroes for Humanity, is that what you mean? These are the people that are on they are. So, for instance, Kyle, had he been here, he would say to you, well, I can give you 10 places right now where this is what happened to me. There's an 8-year-old kid in this location, and it listed 5 different locations for me, how many were there, and the youngest one was 8 years old. And it was near me, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is bad. And I already knew it was bad, but I don't think that we're opening our eyes to exactly how bad it really is. Here we have a crisis on our hands right now. So I'm treading easily right now, because we care about everyone, right? We are all trying to take care of each other. We want everything to go well. And that is why we have people like you and Kyle who come together and look to help and save lives. And so that means the rescue missions that have to happen are needed now in the U.S. Well, they've always been needed here, but there's a there's a urgent need now to have what's going on, have help with rescuing. So with your skills and what you've done, not only in the Marines, but with Heroes for Humanity, and I've already done a show on this. I see Jason saying tread easy. I'm treading easy, but I know what I'm talking about here. I've got if anybody wants to look it up, go to Patriot on Air or at Two Step Act on X. You can find it. We've had the whistleblowers for CPS literally come on a show. There are literally situations that most people don't want to know about it. So it's like, no, be quiet. Don't talk about it, Tracy. But I'm kind of that person that's like, I can't do that. I can't just be quiet about it. And so then you get people, that's what you do. You get people together that are not going out there to do wrong. They're going out there to help. They're going out there to save lives. And it's sad that we need to do it right here in our own backyard, literally. So in your own backyard, literally right now, what we would have gotten into was what I'm bringing up just a little bit of is that when he has this child that was where they were, and then the connections he has and what he does, it's not just him, just like we got you here talking. You two need to merge as far as like what's going on here in the US. I can see a lot of ways that you could help so much. And I say this, and I can, because Javier Vega Jr., a Marine who decided to go be a Border Patrol agent, his family was visiting him. Now, he's related to me. So, Marie Vega, I love you. And it's called Angel Families when it's our Border Patrol. But remember, he was a Marine, highly trained. He decided he'd already gone through school and everything, and he saw what was kind of happening. And he said, you know what, I'm going to go work at the border. And he went to work there, and his family came one day to visit him. And unfortunately, that wasn't the day to go. That was the day that two people, and I'm going to leave it at people. He's no longer with us. Javier Vega Jr., his dad got shot. Javier's no longer with us. Thank God his children, his wife, his mom, and his dad is still here. But we lost Javier, who had to crawl across, literally, and was already, if it hadn't been for that Marines in him, I don't know how he would have done it. And I still don't understand it all because it's like unbelievable story I'll get into on another show. But he was able to get over and grab one of the guns and literally, I'll leave it at that. But two of them ran off. They're in jail right now. We'll move off that subject, but that was something I need to let you know, Dennis, is that's where I'll be connecting you with Kyle so that you start to hear, hey, wait a minute, I got a situation going on and it's right here. And so last year, yes. So there's a couple of things that are always going on, right? And so it's on the back channels. And so we'll leave it on the back channels for right now and let Kyle discuss it. And then I want the two of you to get together. And I do believe that what you could do, not just where you've already done it, it actually needs to be done in the US as well right now. So I'm sorry, he's telling me. I have a soft spot right there. It's like when I know something like this and I know that it's happening, I'm sorry, I just can't not go there. And so when I have to hear this and I found out about it and I was like, oh my goodness, well, thank God I had Kyle. Something happened at one of the schools up here. Everything went on lockdown. This is right after Uvalde. I called Kyle and literally boots were on the ground, multiple people standing across at a Christian school where my son goes. And he was outside. He was actually left outside. They locked the doors and all that. They didn't realize that they had, he was doing shot put and discus and all this, middle school. And they ended up going into this trailer. But I was like, panic as a mother. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to lose another son. So I'm going to do everything I can possibly do to get out there and understand what is going on and what can we do to get out there and be uncomfortable. So this is me being uncomfortable about talking about this. It is very uncomfortable, but you know what? It means connecting people to do the right things and talking about these things that are uncomfortable. They have to be done. So someone has to do it. And that means saving, and it's true. It's children, it's women, and it's sad. All of it really is. Part of my law about my son is about what's coming across that border, and it's trafficking, and it's obviously other things that are there. Um, Dennis, I have your intro still here in the show, and what I'd like to do is actually you're getting a lot of prayers here for you. They're saying for me, for you, SWAT, all of us. So thank you out there. Thank you, Phil. Phil does go out and make a difference. Phil is with Fallen Heroes National Foundation, Gold Star Family Foundation, which is our foundations under Patriots Inside the Wire. SWAT down here joining us is the co-host right now on Patriots Inside the Wire. He is a veteran that was at Fort Stewart. I don't have to speak for you, SWAT. I will let you, why don't you respond to Dennis? Is there something that you have a question about, or are you there?
Yeah.
SWAT. Hey, SWAT man, you gonna make me sing?
You might be
I don't know.
frozen.
It's either the internet, SWAT, if your mic isn't on and you can hear me, or you're frozen. Refresh. That's all good. What we do have is what I do have here, Dennis, is your testimony. So SWAT is going to refresh. There he is. And while he's doing that, what I'm going to do is pull up this, and I want you to all pay attention to this, what I'm about to show you. And this is the testimony that Dennis Price is talking about with him. And here you are on Patriots Inside the Wire. Please take a look at this.
My name is Dennis Price. I served about 17 years in the Marine Corps, 15 years active duty, Force Recon, Scout Sniper, Ranger, JSOC. I say all this because at one point in my life, it meant so much to me, those titles. Probably the greatest title I ever had was being a father. I joined the Marine Corps about 17 years old. About 16 years ago in Iraq, I was a machine gunner. We were doing a convoy operation from Fallujah to Ramadi, just like we did hundreds of times before. We were coming up through the city of Ramadi, and we were coming up under an underpass through a bridge. Once you go under the bridge, you switch lanes. The first vehicle goes, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. The next vehicle goes. He ran over a IED, and it kicked off what changed my life for the worst. The vehicle in front of me gets decimated. A rocket flies in between me and the vehicle, and then it kicks off this ID initiated ambush. To my left, to the southeast of the city of Ramadi, we started getting shot at, and all we could see was muzzle blast through the city. After watching that moment of my buds just getting destroyed, I was so mad, I was so angry. I wanted to kill every single person there that day. We were trapped on the X for what seemed to be eternity. From there, I struggled through life and walked through life. I feel like I couldn't feel anything but bitter hate, rage. I had two modes. I was either pissed off or super pissed off. And I let that fire within me consume my life. I started trying to replace that hole inside me in my spirit with anything that I could fill it with. At the time, it was like since I pushed out God from my life, he was always there. I just thought he had no place in war. Whenever I came back, I would try to get back into religion, back in the church, and it worked for a little bit. I did 7 back-to-back deployments in the Marine Corps, and then I did 6 more in the private military contracting world. I was chasing the high, trying to fulfill what that void left in my soul. I slowly allowed God back into my life. And then I always went back each deployment to pushing him back out. My youngest daughter, she was born with 2 rare diseases, Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, BWS. I thought my life was over. I thought the world was crashing down on my shoulders. When I got handed that $1.2 million bill from Amelia's Medical, that was my solution. It was that my family will get $400,000 or $500,000. This was my answer. Like, this was my fault. My family would be better off without me. I eventually let the devil into my head so much that there was no other logical thought in my head. He convinced me And there was not a solid reason past that to take my own life. At this point, I was in my basement working out and biking for like an hour. I eventually picked up the phone after a couple hours, and I called one of my close buds and friends. In my head, I was like, this is not a false promise. Like, I can't think of one solid reason not to blow my brains out right now. Maybe he can give me one reason. He didn't pick up. I called again. He was out traveling. All else was white noise. I couldn't think of a single reason not to do it. Hour 3 or 4 goes by, and I'm still staring at the gun. One last thought goes through my head, and it's a random statistic I read, and it says, if a parent commits suicide, your children then are 10 times more likely to then commit suicide. And I'm sitting there like, wow, I can't believe that's what just randomly popped in my head. So as all these statistics are racing through my head and I have the gun in my hand, I'm like, man, I cannot fake it. I can't hack it one more day to give my kids a better life. I can't even do that one last time. I put the gun down and I go in and I put on Cornerstone TV, which is a church channel, and I'm like, man, I'm so messed up right now. I need help. I go seek help through counseling and everything, and go back to what I know. Just like everyone's baseline, just like zeroing a sniper rifle or anything like that. I needed zeroed in life. I had to go back to a baseline, and what is that baseline? It's Christianity. It's the church. I don't care if I have to work every hour of my life. I will pay off this $1.2 million debt. I will figure out a way to do it and give my family the father they deserve. I got out and joined, what used to be called Blackwater, and I started government contracting through different contracts, OGA ones to just various different ones. I was walking down the hallways, and all of a sudden, it felt like I got struck by lightning. And that is the best way I always try to describe it. Every hair on my body was standing up. And that's the first and only time I ever heard the audible voice of God. And he says, you have to go save them. I was like, what? What's going on? And I go down the hall, I turn on the TV, I see Afghanistan, Kabul, all about to fall. And this is before it fell. My rebuttal was, what can I do? And the next response was, anything. Within one day, I had a family who had 6 children. I got given a family, I got given a mission, I got given a timeline saying in 6 days, their oldest daughter, who's 14, and their second daughter, who's 11, are gonna be raped and sold off to the Taliban. And with God's power and everything like that, within 24 hours, I owned a 50-acre compound in Alaska. 24 hours after that, I had a 6-man joint special operations team. 24 hours after that, I had a plane, and I had access to go in Afghanistan. On the 5th day, we rescued his family out of Afghanistan. That changed my life. From that moment, immediately rescuing them, I got shifted all of these missions. In 2 weeks, I was able to save 55 Americans out of Afghanistan. What now is formed as Save Our Allies. I got invited for that, and then that's when I met Chad Robichaud, and he heard what I was doing and what I did, and he offered me to go on a 2-man unsupported operation to cross into Afghanistan and save remainder Americans and provide routes out of Afghanistan. I said, well, this is God's calling. 2 weeks later, we went to Afghanistan, we went to Tajikistan, and we eventually was able to save, about 82 American and vetted interpreters out of Afghanistan. I say that all because this is not my story to tell, this is God's story. He used me, a broken man, used my life skill when I convinced myself years ago that I was here as God's war vessel. It was just that slight shift from going from taking lives to saving lives. It changed my life. I now dedicate my life to serving God, serving the Lord, and using my skill set to helping others and serving others. Now I work at Mighty Oaks. I go around and help other veterans. I help them deal with the same exact things I am. And I go around the world and just try to help people out, because that's ultimately what we're here for.
Dennis, we have SWAT back here. Thank you for that. Again, you're on Patriots Inside the Wire. You can see that at patriotsinsidethewire.com in order to look that up. You also have Dennis Price Dennis for your website. We will have that going here. I'm going to put that up again. And again, thank you for everything that you are doing. I want to make sure your website's out, and then jump over to SWAT. In SWAT, as we've got production asking us about your song choice with Dennis here.
I'll tell you what, Tracy, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Dennis, if you don't mind, I actually have a request from you.
Oh.
Yeah. What's up?
I
Uh-oh.
don't, well,
I
Tracy,
don't sing.
well, I'm not going to put you on the spot there, but I do, after listening to everything, obviously just watching your testimonial there, it's just so inspired. And usually we close out the show with me playing a song. But Tracy, I'd like to change it up a little bit if I can. Dennis, I would love for you to lead us out with a prayer, if you don't mind. I mean, that would just mean so much to me. And Tracy, if that's okay with you, I'd like to turn it over to Dennis to pray for everybody.
I will say that. Let me do his website really quick. I want to make sure that they understand that. It is heroes with an E, heroes.for.humanity.us right now. That is changing. Heroes, the number 4, humanity.org will be up and running. Check out on Instagram for heroes, the number 4, humanity. You can get a hold of Dennis Price. Get a hold of Patriots Inside the Wire if you can't seem to find it and you actually want to get information. Dennis, I know you're about to head down to Angleton. Here around the Texas area, we have Hurricane Burrow. We're thinking of all of our families that are out there. We're here for you. We have the links for you as well. And Dennis, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your service. I'm glad you're in Texas with us. I am grateful to God and for my own self that I have met you. And you have a very, very powerful voice. And it's not just a voice, it is a journey, it is your life. So it's not even just a story. So thank you for being here with us. I appreciate you. Godspeed. As you're seeing, we have our people too that are with Patriots Inside the Wire. We will end up down there in Montgomery County, and we will end up doing Patriot Fest is one of those locations. But let's do what Mr. SWAT says. But I do want to say this. Give SWAT here. He's kind of not focusing there. SWAT, thank you too for your service. I know you're sitting there and going, you can relate because you also are in that same dirt over there in deployment, and that is not something that is done. It's like less than 1%. The last thing I want to say though is with the Gold Star community, and that is families. I like to say families because they're still dads, moms, siblings. But I'm going to give you something right here. There's a mom, and I want to ask you, did you in the military, either of you, get every year, did you have to do a physical or did you just do a piece of paper? How did that work? Did you have a yearly physical, like going to the doctor in the face-to-face?
I think I did. I don't remember. I know I was prodded and probed by the medics all the time, and we had people we had to keep up with, and of course they did checks on us. But I think we, especially in Dennis, I can't speak for the Marine Corps, but in the Army, you kind of had to stay in top physical condition. Otherwise, they were riding your rear end all day long. So we kind of kept up with our physical conditioning, and they did take care of us in there. Like I said, I was real good friends with the medics, and if I ever needed anything or needed a physical checkup, they were on top of it. So
Thank you for that, SWAT. Thank you, Phil. I saw your message there. Godspeed to you. I'm asking that because actually right now, what it is no, you don't do a in-person physical. You can go video and they can ask you questions, but a physical check, like you would go to a doctor every year for a physical. So that checkup on an individual in the service, and I'm talking about the military right now in each branch, that was something I was looking for. Is like, did you actually have to go in person and do a physical? Because that's what's missing right now. And one of the efforts that is being led right now by a big team. So I just wanted to hear personally, were you made to go do a physical? Just like as a civilian, if I make an appointment, I go do a physical. But the military, they take care of their own. So that's what I was curious about. If you did that every year. I know when you deploy, I know about that. I know that when you deploy, there's all kinds of things that happen. But if you're not deploying and you're in, are you getting constantly your physicals and stuff? Or is that just boot camp and deployment?
Dennis, I defer to
Yeah.
you, my friend.
Yeah. I don't really
know the
recall because
answer.
like what you said. Yeah, Tracy said the last time too. Is I think she's right. Where there's pre-deployment health assessment, there's post-deployment health assessment. Um, you have to fill a lot out online, and then you go in person, and they kind of just like talk over what you just said. You know, from there, like she obviously she did the research, and I'm not sure how all units work, but I would say that that's not too far off what she's saying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it is true, but we've got legislation going for that with a whole nother team. So anyone out there, even in the military world right now, active duty, you need anything, let us know. Because listen, there's always a connection, there's always a resource, there's always a way. So reach out, stay in touch. And as Dennis put it, and I'd like to say it's very true, being uncomfortable is when you know you're doing the work. So yeah, am I uncomfortable sometimes sitting here and talking about things? You bet I am, but I'm just not built that way to just not not go do something about it. So I am going to be that person that's speaking up, and I'll have to have production behind me going, okay, stop. And I'm like, but it's just the truth. I don't know what else to tell you except I got him. He's up there, and I know what's going on here. So let's just go change it. To me, it's easy, and everyone teases me. They're like, Tracy, you always say everything's easy. And I'm like, well, what choice is there? It is an easy choice if you just go do it. So there's always a way and a resource. So always seek help. Anyone out there that's in need, I know we spoke about it a lot tonight, so I really want to stress this. Please reach out. There's 988 as a phone number. There's all these. We've given you the website, the Instagram for Dennis over here with Heroes for Humanity. You can go to patriotsinsidethewire.com. We'll get J&T to put a link. This link is what we'll do to you on the website. And that way you can constantly see, okay, this is where I can go for that too. So thank you for all of that, Dennis. Thank you for joining us and your time too, SWAT. And so you made that choice. If you don't mind, while you're doing that, who's doing the prayer, SWAT or Dennis?
I'd love Dennis. I'd turn it over to Dennis.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. So Dennis,
sir.
if you don't mind,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm gonna show pictures while you're doing it. If you don't mind, if you don't want me to, I won't. It's up to you.
No, yeah, you're good.
Oh.
Yeah. So, thanks, John, for allowing me to pray for us. And I love that you shared my testimony again, because ultimately in Revelations 12:11, it says, they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony. And what God is doing in our lives is amazing. And not what he's doing in my life, but what he's doing in all of our lives. So if I can bless us in this word is, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for being able to go on this podcast and share your word and share your works that what you're doing in all of our lives. I please pray that you open up the ears and the hearts of everyone who's listening. And I know, Lord, that in the Bible it says that no weapon against us shall prosper. So please, Lord, open up people's eyes, ears, and heart to bind together, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, and be your hands and feet, and use us for our gifts and talents that you gave us, Lord, to be your evangelism, help out others, and prosper in your name. And all of God's people said, Amen.
Amen.
So, thank you so
Amen.
much, and you'll see me in south of Houston and Angleton for the next 3-4 days, and then all me and my team of Heroes from Andy and all volunteers. Anyone who wants to volunteer, please come down. We'll be going over rapidly deploying in and out through the worst areas all through Texas, not just that area, maybe Mexico, maybe other areas. I don't know, but wherever there's a call for the needy, that's where you'll find me, and that's where you'll find us. Where are we at? Wherever the church is not. Yeah, that's why we don't have a physical location. That's where God calls us to be.
Amen. That's what I say about all of this. So thank you so much for your time. I will be sure to get Kyle and make sure to connect. Let us know how it's going down in Angleton. If there's anything that needs to be done, you need something, I can pick up my phone, different resources that I can get to, let me know. They're in my phone literally. So I can easily get a hold of someone and if you're in need. So whatever it is I can do, if I can do it, just let me know and I will do my very best to get it out and get things done. So stay safe as you're going out there, taking care of everyone and everyone out there tonight. Patriots Inside the Wire, we thank you for joining us on Wednesday Warriors. Join us again next Wednesday. We will have a show that's all about a music event that is going on, and artist and SWAT here has been in the studio. So we have some things coming to you that will lift your spirits, literally. And one of those places again. So we're going to get Conroe going in Montgomery County, all fixed up and get it going back to where it needs to be. And then we will be down there around Honor Cafe with Chris and Margie and all these people. And it will be our patriots. So it's Gold Star families, Angel families. It is all of us. It is those that are speaking up, standing up. It doesn't mean you have to be in the military. This means it's the good people doing the work that want to get together and bring music to it as well, and then share their foundations. So look for us coming up here on every Wednesday, 8:15 p.m. We also have our podcasts that go out. So check us out on Spotify, iHeart, Apple. Literally, you can find this all on our website, but you will be able to find our episodes, every one of them that have been on, just like you'll find music. As SWAT knows, you have to go in and add it to your playlist. So go in for anybody that's doing a podcast, anybody that's doing music, you have to add that to a playlist. That gives credit back to, the people that are doing all that work. So I don't get paid at all. We don't have a sponsor yet. So if there is someone out there, but right now, I don't worry about that. Like Dennis said, I'll figure that part out later. It's the work that needs to be done. So I always do this. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. My son, the man upstairs, that's what keeps me going. And I hope to see you again soon. I know that I will, Dennis. Keep me updated on how it's going in Angleton and Montgomery County. Please tell your family. We are grateful for them too. And I will keep you, your family, and your daughter. Real quick, how's she doing?
So she actually gets admitted to the hospital next week in Dallas for about 5+ days. So, the Lord's been good, but, we'll see. They're trying to adjust their medicine now and see how everything's going. But, like God's good. And he's, what does it say in Proverbs? It says, trust the Lord in all your heart, not lean unto your own understanding, but acknowledge him in all your ways, and he'll strengthen your path.
Amen.
I don't know what's going on. No one else does. All I do is trust in the Lord, and he knows that path.
Well, Dennis, I definitely have her and your whole family in prayer. And there are things that can happen that are beyond us. That this is my belief. So you don't have to believe everything. This is why we have people that serve, right? Because we have our freedom for that right to choose. I have mine, and that is, there are miraculous things that do happen. There are things that come together. When you have multiple people together and you lead in prayer and you have that positive, reach into that community, so many things can happen. You can beat things. I beat cancer myself. I firmly believe that with her as your child, your daughter is going to be a champion on something later in life, talking about how her dad was able to go do these things, and her hero will be you, Dennis, and not just her, all of your children and your family. So thank you so much for all that you do and continue to do. I'll try not to keep you busier, but I do have some work for you with what's going on with Mr. Kyle Sims. So I will get that connected. Kyle, we're going to shout out prayers for you too and hope that you feel better. Thank you for joining us. It is Dennis Price with Founders of Heroes for Humanity. And you can check them out. Mr. John Swat with our music going on here. Patriots Inside the Wire has Patriot Fest coming up. Join us every week. We are here. So check out our website to get involved and do more. You know what I say? I say amen, good night, and God bless. I'm not even going to do the out.